Have you ever felt like your quiet nature made you invisible in a loud and busy world? Maybe you've been told, why don't you speak up more? Or, you need to get out there. But what if I told you that your quietness isn't a flaw? It's a strength. A strength so profound that it's often linked to intelligence, creativity, and empathy. Today, we're going on a journey to uncover why introverts, the so-called quiet ones, might be the hidden geniuses among us. By the end of this video, you might just see yourself, or someone you know, in a completely different light. Let's start with a question. Have you ever noticed how some of the most thoughtful ideas come from the people who don't talk much? Picture this, a room full of people chatting and sharing stories. Everyone's laughing, debating, interrupting each other. But there's one person sitting quietly, observing it all. They're not being rude or shy. They're listening, they're watching, they're taking it all in. And when they finally speak, the entire room falls silent because what they say is so profound, so insightful. It leaves everyone thinking. Think about Albert Einstein for a moment. You've probably seen pictures of him. Messy hair, deep in thought, a quiet genius. Einstein famously said, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulate the creative mind." It wasn't in crowded rooms or loud debates that he developed the theory of relativity. It was in his quiet moments of reflection. He once said that he needed time alone to let his ideas flow. And that's something many introverts can relate to. Their best thoughts come when the world is silent. It all comes down to how the brain works. Introverts' brains are more sensitive to dopamine, the chemical that makes us feel rewarded. For extroverts, big social events and high-energy activities release a flood of dopamine, making them feel excited and alive. But for introverts, too much dopamine can feel overwhelming. This is why they often prefer calm environments where they can recharge and think clearly. And it's in these moments of calm that magic happens. Let me share a story with you. Picture a young woman sitting alone in a cafe, scribbling in her notebook. People might glance at her and think she's just daydreaming, but what she's doing is creating an entire world, a world of magic, wizards, and unforgettable characters. That young woman was J.K. Rowling. She spent hours alone crafting the Harry Potter series, which has since captured the imagination of millions. Rowling once said, "There's nothing wrong with being quiet. It gives you time to think and reflect." Her quietness wasn't a weakness, it was her strength. And it's not just creativity. Introverts often have an incredible ability to notice what others miss. They're like detectives, picking up on subtle cues, reading between the lines, and understanding the deeper meaning behind what's said or left unsaid. Research from the University of Cambridge found that introverts often score higher in emotional intelligence, meaning they're better at understanding their own feelings and those of others. This makes them exceptional listeners, empathetic friends, and insightful problem solvers. Let me ask you, have you ever noticed that the quietest person in the room is often the most observant? It's no coincidence. Introverts have a gift for seeing what others overlook. And this isn't just a personality quirk, it's a skill that has changed the course of history. During World War II, a quiet and unassuming man named Alan Turing spent countless hours working on breaking the Enigma code, a code the Nazis used to send secret messages. Most people didn't understand his methods or see the value of his work, but Turing's quiet persistence and deep focus led to the cracking of the code, a breakthrough that saved millions of lives. He wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but his quiet determination made all the difference. And it's not just about solving problems. Introverts are often the ones who dream up ideas that reshape the world. Think of Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple. While Steve Jobs was out pitching their ideas, Wozniak was behind the scenes, quietly building the technology that would revolutionize personal computing. Without Wozniak's introverted brilliance, Apple might never have existed. But let's pause for a moment. Society often celebrates extroverts, the loud, the outgoing, the ones who can command a room. And there's nothing wrong with that. Extroverts have incredible strengths. But introverts bring something equally valuable to the table, the ability to think deeply, to listen, to create, and to connect on a profound level. Here's another story for you. Imagine a young man who prefers books over parties. People think he's awkward, maybe even boring. But this young man grows up to be Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft and one of the richest people in the world. Gates has openly described himself as an introvert, saying, "I was kind of a loner as a kid. I liked being by myself, reading books, and thinking things through." Those quiet moments of reflection were where his ideas took shape. And here's the thing, introverts aren't just book smart. They're emotionally intelligent too. A study from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that introverts are more likely to pursue careers in fields like science, technology, and art, fields that require creativity, focus, and long-term planning. But they're also more likely to succeed in roles that require empathy and understanding, like counseling, teaching, and leadership. Yes, leadership. Despite the stereotype that leaders need to be loud and charismatic, many of the world's greatest leaders have been introverts. Think of Mahatma Gandhi. His quiet strength inspired millions to fight for freedom through peace and non-violence. Or Rosa Parks, whose simple act of defiance on a bus sparked a movement. Their leadership wasn't about commanding attention, it was about making thoughtful, meaningful choices that inspired change. But let's not sugarcoat it. Being an introvert isn't always easy. In a world that values loud voices and outgoing personalities, introverts can feel overlooked or undervalued. They're often told to come out of their shell or be more social, as if their natural way of being isn't enough. If you've ever felt this way, I want you to know this. Your quietness is not a weakness. It's a strength. It's what allows you to think deeply, to notice details, to create ideas that others might never see. Susan Cain, the author of Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, puts it beautifully. Don't think of introversion as something that needs to be cured. It's who you are. And who you are is someone the world needs. Now let's talk about you. Maybe you're an introvert, or maybe you know someone who is. Either way, take a moment to appreciate the quiet power that comes with this personality type. The ability to listen deeply, to think carefully, and to create meaningfully is a rare and precious gift. So here's my question for you. Do you think being quiet gives people a unique advantage? If you agree, give this video a thumbs up and let us know in the comments. What's your experience as an introvert or with introverts in your life? We'd love to hear your story. Before we go, I want to leave you with this thought. The world needs all kinds of voices, the loud ones and the quiet ones. But the quiet ones often have something special to say. So if you're an introvert, don't be afraid to embrace your quietness. It's not just a part of who you are, it's your strength. If you enjoyed this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Maybe it's a quiet friend, a family member, or even yourself. And don't forget to subscribe to Universal Insights for more stories and discoveries about the unique traits that make us who we are. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the most powerful voices aren't the loudest. They're the ones that make us think.